Hi guys.
How's everybody doing?
We have Scully with us. He's our October mascot, and he's got a syringe and everything. So cute. Hi guys, welcome to AI Live.
We have a fun day today.
We
Another fun topic. I think a lot of you guys want to hopefully jump in on the conversation, and we'll see where this takes us, right?
Right. This is AI Live. We go with the flow. I know. So what's new with you? What have you been doing lately?
Oh, trainings. I have a mint thread training this weekend. I did two Galderma trainings yesterday. What did I do? What did we have? We had FO on Saturday.
We had
our foundation class on Saturday.
Class on Saturday.
So I just feel like I'm training. I see patients still. I do see patients like 4 days a week, full days. But I don't know how I fit in all of these. Just like you, like I don't know when I have time. But I have my calendar, my cell phone. If I don't have that, I would probably die.
I would too. I wouldn't go anywhere. I wouldn't know where to go.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
What about you?
I've been super busy too. We had our FO class Saturday. Sunday, my husband and I were invited up to a really, really neat nonprofit fundraiser for an organization called 911 at Ease. And this organization helps first responders face those traumatic things they face. And I have a little touch of kind of what that was, coming upon dead bodies and murdered people when I worked as a sheriff. And it's not easy, and you take that with you. So this organization really helps those first responders. So it was really neat. Awesome. It was neat to go to a fundraiser like that. It was really neat to see. And then I have a webinar this Thursday night for Mint, which is going to be browse. You can join the webinar. We have like almost 500 signed up already. Yep. So this Thursday night will be that webinar through Mint, Mint PDO threads. And I'll be flying out to Virginia on Friday to go do a private training. So I'll be gone this weekend.
How fun.
Yeah, Washington, D.C. Get to go see. I've never been to Washington, D.C.
What?
No, I've never seen the monument.
No. What?
Nope. So I get to hopefully see it.
You definitely need to go around.
I know.
Explore.
I'm working too much in here. Yeah.
All right. Well, we better jump into it so that we can
get everything.
To our talk and our conversation of today's topic. All right.
We get to talk about how long do fillers last. Does everybody know this, and is it real?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think definitely the FDA indications versus what happens in real life is
very different.
Very, very different.
Very different.
And so we'll kind of jump into this, and hopefully you guys get a little engagement for you guys with regards to what your thoughts are. We'll start off with our thoughts, and so we'll jump into our little quick PowerPoint here. Disclaimer: this is for education. This is me. This is Lori.
You guys know us.
All right, so we're gonna jump right into allergen products. So definitely have two lines that they have. So they have the Hyalacross line, which is Juvenile Ultra Plus, approved back in 2006. 24 milligrams of hyaluronic acid. So this is the reason why it's a little plumpier. So this is understanding your rheology. Lasting 12 months is what the indication is by FDA. It's 12 months. Not a particulate size because it's a more gel, and it has 6% cross-linking. For the Ultra Plus is 8% cross-linking. And this is a high molecular weight HA filler.
So, wait, go back.
Oh, you want to go?
So, okay, so we've seen Juvederm now for years, since 2006. And I want to ask you if you've seen patients that have come in that have had it 5 years ago that you still see it in their lips.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So FDA says it's going to last 12 months. No.
Yeah.
We see this lasting a lot longer. Some people do not break it down that quickly.
I think most people don't.
No, most people don't.
I think most people don't.
They don't. They can be there for years.
There are rarer patients who really do break down things faster. I probably find that it's more your people who have high metabolisms, or they're really super athletes that constantly working out and constantly breaking down things, that you're probably going to find HA fillers may not last as long, just because this is a metabolite. It's going to break down into your sugar molecules, because we have HA in our skin. And so I think that in general, most fillers are going to last way longer than what we say.
Yeah.
I will talk in more about this once we've kind of gone through a couple of these. I think just having that whole talk after we've gone through the different product lines and the products. So, Vicross.
Vicross is the second line that Allergan came out with, and that was in 2013, which was the Voluma. And this is cross-linked a little bit differently. This is a high and low molecular weight cross-linking. It's a pretty tight little molecule. And it's been utilized very well in cheeks and other areas. People have left it for years. And it's the duration is a little bit longer than the 12-month that most of the products have. But for the Voluma, it's 18 months. And for the Volure and Volbella, it's 12 months for FDA guidelines.
Okay. Then next we have our Galderma products. This is the Nasha line, so the non-animal stabilized hyaluronic acid. You have your Silk, Classic, and Lift. And Classic is the original HA filler on the marketplace. One of the unique things that I think is that this Nasha product line has not been able to be replicated by any other company. I think this is more what I call the particulate gel versus all the rest of the gels from the Vicross lines, from the expression technology to the Hyalurocross to all the other ones, even the Belloteros, the Versas. All of them are what I call more jelly. It's like
they're not particulate. Yeah, they're
jello. They're not as particulate. This is truly a particulate, and nobody else on the marketplace has something like this, including all of Europe, including all of Canada, and all the ones that we don't have approved here. I don't think anybody's been able to mimic what Galderma's Nasha products.
They've gotten the patent on the particle.
They have
so nobody else can legally make a particle.
But no, I mean, at the end of the day, 1% cross-linking is so little cross-linking.
It's like human, it's like natural.
Yeah, it's literally
it's like very natural.
And so ultimately, remember the difference is the particulate nature of this at 1% cross-linking, 20 milligrams of hyaluronic acid. It goes through a mesh system, so you have Silk as the smallest one, Restylane as the medium, and Lift as the big boulder rocks that are building on top of each other.
And then Galderma recently in 2017 came out with the expression technology. And this technology is basically the elastic. It's a stretchy one. So before that, they just had particle. Now they've come out with a product that's a stretchy product. And this is the Refine, Define. Now we have Kiss and Contour in 2020 and 21. Because Kiss came out during the pandemic. So like 20. Yeah. So now there's four products. They all have 20 milligrams of hyaluronic acid, so they are all net neutral with water, and they were all FDA approved for 12 months of duration with all of the different testing. Now Refine, Define, and Kiss and Contour have different cross-linking. The Refine is 6%. Kiss and Contour are 7%, and Define is 8%. But the different calibrations of gel is actually, they're a little bit different calibration sizes. So actually, like Contour is a very big calibration size. So I say it's like fluffier. It's one of the things I love in the lips. But anyway, yeah. So anyway.
Then you have your MERS, you have the Bolotero, which Bellotero's only the one that we have here, the Bolotero Balance at 22 milligrams of hyaluronic acid. It now does come in lidocaine. This was the slide we made before, but now does come in lidocaine. There are other Bellotero lines outside. This is the one that's more softer. It's a cohesive polydensified matrix. So it goes through two kind of cross-linking process. But great product for kind of soft, really fine detailed areas at this point in time is where we use this one.
That one was one that has tendency to not tindle.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because a lot of things do tindle. And then we have Radiesse, which is our calcium hydroxyl apatite. And this is a blend of 70% methylcellulose, or it's a polysaccharide gel with calcium. It's a very readily absorbable form of calcium, very small particle size. 25 to 45 microns, very, very small particle size. So it's looked that the FDA has approved this for about 12 to 18 months before they really saw that there were some changes in the tissue. Not really looked at with ultrasound and such, but we'll talk about that later. Yep. But 12 to 18 months is what it's FDA approved for. And this one might create a little bit of collagen stimulation and elastin stimulation. So this is one that really is looked at as kind of making kind of a scaffolding, to help stimulate some of the collagen synthesis. And it's not dissolvable if you get in an artery. So there is no safety net with this.
Prolamium, you have the Versa, Theofix cross-linking, 25 milligrams of hyaluronic acid. Their particle size is supposed to be more spherical and uniform. Approved in 2018. So nice little product out there on the marketplace as far as another HA product.
And that one's supposed to be pre-hydrated.
It's supposed to be pre-hydrated.
So it doesn't, being 25 milligrams of hyaluronic acid, it's not supposed to pull too much in. And then we have the RHAs. We have the
2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4 that are FDA approved in the United States, and those have a FDA approval of 12 months also. So I think arbitrarily people have slapped 12 months onto it and gone with. Because that's not what we see.
It's not. So we're done with our PowerPoint. If you have any
we won't bore you.
We won't bore you with that. So that's kind of the quickie nitty gritty on the actual rheologies and what the companies have said. But experience wise, what are you finding?
That they last a lot longer than what they say they're going to last in 98% of my patients, I would say. Yeah, I think I had a girl come in just about a month ago or so that wanted her lips done. She drove in from another state. She wanted her lips done, and she had them done with Kiss a year and a half ago. And she came in, and I looked at her lips, and I'm like, they are perfect. They already looked augmented, but they were beautiful. They were like a nice augmented lip.
Right.
And she did not need anything. And she said, it's gone. And I said, it's not gone. It's there. So after a year and a half, they still looked gorgeous. So, it's not what they say.
I mean, I think this is one of the things you guys have to take in consideration. What FDA and what they have to prove. Unfortunately, they don't have to prove by biopsy results what is really gone. So if you're not using biopsies, you're not using ultrasounds or MRIs and seeing where the product really is and whether it's gone and disappeared, how do you really know that the product really is gone? Because the one big confounding factor that they don't ever take out of the picture is the fact of the aging process. How do you know how quickly you have aged in that 1 year? Because at the end of the day, if you look at all the white paper studies for all of these FDA approvals, it's all tendency is when did they have to go show a certain grade of improvement. So the nasolabial fold, for example, it's gone from a grade 4 to a grade 2. So there's an improvement factor that's shown there. And what they do is they literally just check them out they may bring them in 4 weeks and do a little touch up depending on the companies. And then after that, then it's about following them out at 6-month range, 9-month range, 12-month range. And so an independent physician looks at them, they themselves evaluate themselves, and they find, okay, I've gone back from a grade 2, back down to a grade 3, or back down to a grade 4. And so that's kind of where they characterize longevity is based off of their own perception or independent physicians' perceptions. And if they're in alignment, then that's kind of where the majority of your patients. So in 1 year, all of us have changed. All of us have aged. And we document by anatomical findings that we're losing about 3 to 5 syringes of volume from our face per year of life. I mean, fat, bone, skin, muscle, all of that is losing volume. And if you're imagining you're losing volume, is it really the loss of volume of the filler that's disappeared? Or is it the loss of volume of yourself and your natural self that's disappeared?
Right.
Most likely it's a combination of both.
Right.
But we can't delineate which one really it is. And so we definitely know now when you're looking at ultrasounds and MRIs and all of these scans that you really are seeing product that has been there for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, even out to 12 years.
Yeah, 12 years.
Where you would imagine, what are you talking about? You told me that your filler is going to only last 12 months. Well, 18 months. And so this is where I think a lot of us have not been not tricked, but misguided into the sense that, FDA says it only lasts 12 months, 18 months. And so a lot of practitioners buy into the fact and they tell the patients, 18 months it's going to be gone. And so the patients come back thinking that 18 months that the product's gone, and it really is not gone. And I think that it's one of those things you just have to really, really, really evaluate by anatomics what really is aging on the face. How is the face aging, and really replacing volume back into the right areas and not concentrating into that area constantly. If they're coming in for nasolabial fold, talk to them about cheeks, temples, a lot of things that contribute to it. It's not just one thing that causes the whole thing to disappear. It's a multifactorial aspect of aging that causes you to look older.
Yeah, I agree. And when you think about aging and you think about some of these fillers lasting 5-10 years, the face ages, and our fat pads descend. And the places where this filler used to sit isn't sitting there anymore. It's descended. So people keep putting in more and more filler to try to lift more things up, when we really probably should be dissolving and replacing it into a place that's more appropriate for that aged person, for that aged patient.
For sure.
So I think it's kind of like when people get permanent implants, our face ages around it, but yet those don't move.
Right.
And we need to kind of start thinking about some of these resorbable fillers as such, that as people age and people lose perception of themselves. Dr.
For sure.
Sabrina Fabio wrote a nice paper on perception drift, and it has to do with people forget what they looked like. Like that one girl who came to me with the lips. She thought her lips were gone. Well, she showed me a picture before her lips were done, and they were obviously bigger than when before. People forget what they look like before. So it's important for us as providers to make sure we have good photos, that we have good photo documentation. They can even bring photos in from before they ever had fillers. I have someone that I'm working with now that showed me a picture that she had from years ago, and she's just got too much filler, and we're in the process of dissolving everything and getting her back to what she looked like, just arrested her. And it's really important that we help patients not fall into that perception drift, that we stay on that conservative side and we help them look like them, but just a very rested them. And even if they say, I want more, we have to sit back and look at them and go, is it really gone?
Yeah.
Is it still there, or is it gone? Or how have things changed anatomically?
I mean, that goes into the fact of, at the end of the day, having injected, fillers for 17 years now, wrestling back when 6 months and 5 years into it, I'm just like, there's certain patients you're just like, wow, that's still there. I can't believe
it was
it's
only
still
supposed
there.
to be there 6
It's
months.
only supposed to be there for 6 months. And honestly, it's one of those things that makes me think, and as I've had multiple patients, you kind of think, even those patients who have like even cheek implants, like true metal, not metal implants, but they have the screws, they're screwed into the bone. The bone actually starts to resorb. And on one of my patients, I actually started feeling that her implant started to mobilize slightly and actually shift downwards. Luckily, lately she's gotten it removed and redone. But this tells you that things change on the face. There's no such thing as permanency. And I know everyone looks for permanency. And I tell patients, well, there's nothing that is going to look good in the future that it's the same that looks now. Like, our trends now are not going to be the same trends later on. Like look at butts these days.
Right.
Like, my biggest fear is later on you're going to have these big butts and they're all going to start to lose volume, and then they're going to start to sag. Like, what's going to happen? Are you going to do more fat transfer? Well, when the trends are now, I want smaller, cuter butts. Well, what are you going to do? And what are you going to do with that looser skin? So this is the thing. When you start thinking about fillers, ultimately this is my next evolution of thought is we're filling patients maybe at a little younger of an age group. Well, what's going to happen 20 years later when that filler still potentially may be sitting there, didn't break down as much, or they've kept injecting, and every time you lay another layer upon layer upon layer, potentially there's going to be a little bit more of this longevity aspect to it because it's built upon it. Are you going to potentially need to dissolve that patient at some certain point in time so that you can restart a fresh start on what they look like now, 20 years older, 30 years older? It's kind of like, I look at it as like if you've had breast implants when you're 20, super cute, super beautiful because you have the body to go with it. Now you fast forward and you're 80 years old, you have the same kind of implants right there, but everything else has aged around it. It's not age appropriate. And you think about this with the fillers, like how is that going to affect it? And that may be something next talk is maybe we need to be dissolving people more often than we are thinking currently, because facial changes as we age do change the way we look. And so, I mean, I think that fillers really do last a lot longer than what we intend it to be, and what we perceive it to be, and what these companies tell us that it lasts. And so I honestly don't even talk to my patients about longevity anymore. I don't tell people, oh, I'm injecting this and it's 18 months versus 12 months. There's no such thing. If you fill it up properly, you're going to get longevity. I think longevity has to do with the fact of, did you fill it up properly? Did you address all the areas of concern? Like if you went to a gas station and your car said you needed 20 gallons of gas, did you fill it up to that 20 gallons so you got the really nice picture, and it's going to go a lot longer, versus did that person just do one syringe? Well, if you just did one syringe and they needed 10 syringes, you're not going to see very much longevity. And it's not the fact that the filler didn't do its job. The filler may still be there, actually, even 10 years out. It's just you didn't do enough. You literally put 1 gallon into a 20-gallon tank thinking that you're going to go 20 gallons of mileage. It's not going to work. And, my conversation nowadays with patients is more along the lines when it comes to longevity. How long is it going to last? I'll tell them, it's going to last, and I think you like to do it, is 1 year
to 10 years.
10 years. My talk is, where is your expectation? Are you that type of patient that's going to run to your hairstylist when you have 1 millimeter of gray hair? Or are you that type that can wait until you have 5 inches of gray hair before you do something? That's going to set the expectation. And I think longevity talks should be more about expectation of results rather than the actual longevity of a filler itself. Because at the end of the day, if you create a beautiful picture, that could last them for many years if they're not a super picky patient. I could sit there and 3-4 years later, it's still there and looking great with little touches up here and there, versus the patient who is super, super, super picky. Well, maybe they're going to come in 3 to 6 months and I'll do a little bit of here and there, a little bit here and there. Because remember, we're not just aging in this one area. It's dropping in here. We're aging all over. And I think it's something to make an assessment of where you really are aging.
I so agree with that. I think I want to kind of caution you too, regarding some of the permanent type fillers. So there are some out there that are made of like PMMA, which is kind of like a powdered up plastic. And I know I wasn't going to mention who it was, but be careful. I mean, they are used quite a bit in different places. But just be aware that that's something you can't dissolve. You can't break that down. And if somebody has a reaction to it, an inflammatory reaction to it, and they kind of grow granulomas, and you can't get that out. So be really careful. I have some patients who have something like that, and she keeps getting, one of them keeps getting hard nodules all over here, like on and off. She can't figure out what's kicking it off and what's making it happen, and they'll just be these not big, like little marbles that come up and then they'll kind of go down, then they'll come up and they'll go down, and you can't cut them out. You can't take that stuff out. So and that's pretty much permanent. So just be aware of products that you pick and how they interact, how they work, what to expect from them. Can you break them down? Can you not break them down?
Right.
And like I said, I tell people they last a year to 10 years. I'm like 6 months to 10 years is what I usually say. So I said, you know what? I think that our bodies, I think, break hyaluronic acid down at different rates. I think we have something innate in our chemistry that might have to do with that, which I would love to get a study going on that. But I think that might have to do with it also. Where we put it, as far as the layer, might have to do with how it breaks down, how active the area is, how much motion is in the area, the depth we put it in, what the rheological makeup of the product is. There's a lot of factors that go into longevity.
Right.
But in general, they don't go away as quick as what you think. They really don't.
It really doesn't. What about migration? What are your thoughts on the migration? We all see. Everybody calls it Juvederm, but you know what? In all fairness, I really don't think that
is because of the product 100% that we've seen Juvederm go all the way up into the upper lip. We see this so much now that everybody's got this really thick up ergatrid. They look like ducks, and it's thick, and they don't have a natural looking lip. And when these patients come into us, they don't know this. They don't see it. It's because it's happened over years. It's like this slow little creeping thing that's creeped up there, and it's been over years. So it's like facial aging. You don't notice it until someone shows you, and you're like, what? Where'd that hollowness come from? So that's kind of what it is. So I really believe that a lot of the migration may be due to some of the rheological properties of the filler, but I think the majority of it is really due to our techniques that we had. And we've really changed our techniques over the last couple of years to where we are injecting much more superficially. We don't inject in and below the muscle to get the big lips anymore. We're really looking for definition and that just a pretty little lip that has more definition. So we're not injecting it as deep, and we're not going above the vermilion border and destroying the integrity of the white roll in the vermilion border to allow it to migrate. So I think most of it is technique, and not so much of it is maybe the product, like Juvederm gets. But Juvederm's gotten the rap. And why has Juvederm gotten the rap for it? Because that's all we put in lips years ago. So of course that's all you're going to see migrating, right? That's all you're going to see.
That is all you're going to see, and that was the trend. I mean, it was a trend back then. Big, full, big lips. I think the trends have slowly shifted back to a little bit more of a naturalness, where it's not more filled, it's more kind of opened out, and you really create a more nicer definition with regards to that. So I definitely think that part of that issue of migration is related to injecting into the wrong depth, and I think the rheology of a product really does dictate where you are going to get the migration. I think learning about RHA 2, 3, 4 as we're starting to play with it. I think I had RHA 4 injected into my deep mid cheek area, and I actually did feel that it did kind of migrate and move around on the bone aspect of it, where it really wasn't where it was to my liking, and we ended up dissolving it. And so when one of my PAs was sitting down and we had a conversation, she actually had attended a conference where some of the UK docs were talking to her because they've had more experience with it over 7 years over there, and the doc over there was like, yeah, these products actually do kind of settle in and integrate a little bit more, so you probably should be using it more in the subcutaneous plane rather than in a periosteal plane. And so that made sense. And it's like, okay, we want to use these type of products for the advantage of why you're using the product is that it's going to integrate a little bit better. So maybe not using it deep. I would probably say some of your expression technologies, certain ones that may be a little bit softer, maybe you don't put as much on the bone because you're not going to get that projection. You're just going to get a little support, but close to a muscle movement, it may potentially move the product around a little bit. I think we had one of my nurses injected contour underneath an eye and said she loved it. And then she had one or two patients where it actually, after 3-4 weeks, it literally just settled down a little bit lower than where she had injected it.
I had that with RHA too.
So she just was like, oh, that maybe not have been the best product for the area. So going back to your rheological properties, understanding where you're injecting it really dictates and determines not just longevity, but just how the product is going to lay. And so we're still understanding how these products, once they're injected, really do play out in the tissue with the whole movement aspect of it. The goal is that you're using more higher G prime in general thinking, is you're using higher G prime products underneath the muscle that are able to create more projection, create more structure that can resist a little bit of that muscle movement and not maybe move it around. And then products that are going to be above the muscle, you want it to have a lot more flexibility, so when it's moving, it's not moving the stiff product up and down in the aspect of it. So kind of interesting to see and understand where these rheologies play and how it plays in differently in different depths of the tissue.
Yeah, and one other thing is, if you think about hyaluronic acid fillers, if you put a little thread, it's going to be broken down much more quickly than a large bolus.
Yeah.
So you're going to have, it's going to be thinner, it's going to be broken down more easily with hyaluronidase. If you put a big bolus there, it's going to take longer for the body to kind of break that down. So, there's so many different factors that kind of enter into it. One thing I wanted to mention was PLLA. So people always say, oh, it lasts 2.5 years. I hear trainers even say that. And I say, no, PLLA or Sculptra lasts, all it does, it's just grass seed. You're just seeding the lawn and you're growing collagen. So you keep that collagen for your whole life. So you're going to have more collagen than you would have had as you age if you do biostimulators like the hydroxy, like the Radiesse, Hyperdilute Radiesse, or the Sculptra. So the studies went out 24 months or so, 23 months, but they stopped the studies because they're very expensive. Yep. But the product actually, the volume and the dermal thickening stays. So that's one thing that people think it stops at 2.5 years or 2 years, and it doesn't. It's you keep it. You keep that. So it's like fertilized lawn. We love it.
Right. No, and to that, it's about the whole aging process of the face. I think fillers and toxins go up to a certain level of correction. And then the rest of it has to do with not necessarily just on that level. Like, that's why we add threads into the subcutaneous aspect of it, because the projection of volume only goes so far. You project it out to your face is full, you're going to be overfilled. Ultimately, the deeper fat pads, the bone structure has disappeared. So yeah, put volume back there, replace that volume to a natural area. But then, the subcutaneous fat, take the threads, put it into there, pull that subcutaneous fat back up so that you reposition it into a better position and really looks like you're actually contouring back the face back up. Or if that doesn't do enough, then you can go back in and add a little bit of contouring type of effect with subcutaneous injections, where you're using products that are going to be a little bit more integrative. Products are going to not have too much projection, literally rounding out, softening out where you are playing in that subcutaneous plane. And then the last thing people don't really emphasize to the patients enough is skin.
Yeah.
I think we lack the ability to talk to patients to really start working on their skin. Yeah, you do an IPL, yeah, for pigmentation and stuff like that, but true collagen stimulation where you're getting the true tightening. I think we're in a time where we're seeing some amazing treatment technologies. You have your RFs, like your Exelis, your Thermages, you have your microneedling, your microfocus ultrasounds potentially, you have your microneedling RF machines, just regular microneedling, something that stimulates collagen to start that tightening aspect of the skin to really just add to what you've already added to is important, I think. And that helps you understand that you don't necessarily need to constantly add volume to your patients. Yeah. I think these volumes are already great. And as we've talked about, they do last. But a lot of times that extra kind of like that drag, that little just like, it just doesn't look as good, actually has to do with more skin quality, where the skin, if it looked brighter, it looked healthier, it had this little extra, that shrinkage around it, act like more of a Spanx around the volume. That's where you're really that kind of that cherry on top is really what's missing. And I think a lot of practitioners end up chasing it by adding more volume superficially to just trying to round it out more and give them and try and fluff out that looser skin by adding more volume, and it's not needed. The volume is under there and it looks good, and it's been there for even a year or 2 years and it looks great, but the skin quality on top is just horrible, and skin takes time. That's why PLLA, Hyperdilute Radiesse, threads, the smooth threads, collagen stimulation type microneedling RFs, they take time, they take multiple treatments, and it's prudent of everybody to really think about it in that way, because ultimately we don't need to overfill these patients. These patients' fillers look great. There's enough volume projection out there. When you look at the side and it looks nice contour, why are you trying to add more to it just because they say their skin is down to here? Well, if their skin is down to here, do something for the skin.
Yeah, and I always say be careful to keep the two separate entities separate. Keep volume loss on one table and put skin laxity on the other table, and never the two shall mix. or don't let them mix a lot, because replace the volume, but don't pay attention to the skin so much as look at where their natural volume is. Replace their natural volume and then look at the skin laxity.
Right.
Then start adjusting the skin, and you're going to realize you don't want to lift skin with volume. Don't let that be your goal.
Right.
If you want to lift skin with something else. But don't lift skin with volume. Replace volume where volume is lost. One more product we didn't mention is Renuva. And that is something that I've been using, mixing it with Hyperdilute Radiesse, Sculptra, or by itself. It actually is a harvested tissue that when it's injected, will signal the body to grow fat onto it. So with people that are extremely thin, sometimes we can put that in there besides dermal thickening and a little bit of volume with the biostimulants. We can create fat and help grow a little bit more fluff in these areas that are so hard to, like preauricular, and some of these areas that are so hard to get much volume into them. So Renuva is good. It's kind of scarce. It's scarce. It's kind of hard to get a hold of right now, but it's a good product too.
Yeah. Do we have any questions?
Oh, type in your questions, you guys. We're looking for questions here, and you guys.
Sarah, longevity of Versa, probably 12 months.
Yeah, I think 12 months.
All based off of the same type of studies. So 12 months is probably where I would probably say you're looking at it. But honestly, for me, I actually did not find Versa lasting very long. I tried it on my staff, and I actually found that it kind of broke down quicker on my patients. So I don't know where in my hands that's what happened. But that's that's all that I can say about my experience with it.
So we're looking for comments here. Anything that you have?
Yes, I think we won't be sending this out. I think we're probably putting on.
This is going to be on YouTube.
On YouTube.
So in probably 10 days, 12 days, this will be on YouTube. So you can always see all our stuff on YouTube, and you guys don't miss our fake aspiration or our faulty aspiration YouTubes. I tell you, that is my pet peeve, is faulty aspiration. So you got to see that one too. So we're looking at some of the questions here you guys are typing in. We did discuss that. The Versa we did discuss. They're kind of showing us what you guys are typing in, but hopefully I see we've answered most of those questions. So I think that we've really kind of gone over that a little bit tonight. Hopefully it's clarified for you a little bit that it's not all a year. It's not all 18 months.
RHA4 line. There was one that popped in. Recommend RHA4 versus Ultra Deep when injecting.
Deep.
Ultra Deep. I think you're.
That's probably another
Is
country.
that another?
Where are you from, Brandy?
I know. Brandy, probably from Canada, I would assume.
Probably Ultra Deep. I'm trying to think of what Ultra Deep is.
Is part of the Teoxin line.
The Teoxin line? Okay.
Yes.
Our next Sculptor course is December 4th. Saturday, December 4th is our next Sculptor course. Our winner for our one webinar is Jamie Bolduc. That's our winner for our one webinar. So Dr. Bolduc, last month's webinar, or we get a webinar.
You'll get one webinar of your choice.
Cool. There you go. We don't know. We just work here. Okay. And then, cool. And then, awesome. So, Jamie, thank you. Congratulations. Thanks for watching. I love it.
What else? Nancy, what's the longest lasting filler that has been found on someone?
12 years, I think.
At the end of the day, I think it's been 12 years
in
thus
Europe.
far.
Yeah, in Europe, they're doing a lot of ultrasounds, and they're using a lot
more ultrasounds and figuring out on that aspect
12
of it.
years for hyaluronic acid filler.
I know.
What?
But Brandy, as far as RHA4 versus Ultra Deep, I don't know too much about Ultra Deep, but I think from my Canadian friends, Ultra Deep is definitely used on the bone versus RHA4 is not supposed to be used on the bone as much. It's more of a subcutaneous, something that kind of rounds out the area in the subcutaneous aspect of it. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. I think that for me, it's about helping you guys understand that the talk should not be about, this product lasts 12 months and getting into your patient's head that this lasts 12 months. I think it should be a talk about assessment of the face and maybe start off nasolabial fold. Okay, now we're going to move to your cheeks. Now we're going to move to the temples. Now we're going to be doing something else. in that sense, because ultimately this is where we are.
Yeah.
We're not about trying to just keep filling and telling a patient, oh, it's 12 months, because your patients will, a lot of your patients will lean on your every word, and
Yeah.
they're in 12 months. Oh, you said it's 12 months, right? And
I'm
it's
back at 12 months. You're like, no.
really not. So hopefully you guys take this in as you guys are practicing and out there with your patients and educating them properly, that it's maybe not injecting here. Maybe next time we're going to come and inject up in temples or down in the chin or in the jawline. There's many different areas that you can inject. So I don't think you can run out of areas. If you run out of areas on the face, there's a neck, there's a hand, there's an elbow, there's arms. There's plenty of places. If your patient are looking to get injected, there's plenty of places. And then never forget about the skin. I think that's really, really important to me, that people don't mistaken volume and skin, as Lori says.
Yeah.
Really, really, really take that with a grain of salt and really understand that aspect of it.
I'll tell you what I tell my patients, because I don't like anybody to be obsessed about their look. I want them to care about it, but I don't want people to be obsessed. And I tell them, I said, look at yourself every 6 months. Summer, winter, summer, winter, summer, winter. Just peek at yourself. If you feel like you see a little bit that you need a little filler, or you have a question, come in and see me. But they don't need to come in every 2 weeks for filler. They don't need to do that. But I think that helps them to go, okay, it's Christmas time. I need to look and see how my face looks.
Yeah.
You know, or it's summertime. I need to see how my face looks. And you can kind of perk them up for different seasons.
It's not, and the focus should not be about how long these fillers last. And don't let these companies convince you, oh, this was 18 months, that's 12 months.
Yeah.
Know that these products last a decent amount of time if you corrected it correctly. You put the right amount of volume in there to correct it, it will last a good amount of time.
And let me clarify, when I'm saying every 6 months, that's when we filled up their gas tank.
Yeah.
That's not when we've only got them at a half full.
Yes.
So once you get them to where they look really good, then every 6 months, just let they can take a peek at themselves. Okay, so don't have them at a quarter tank and
yeah, underfilling and then having a long expectation. No. Anyways,
subscribe to our YouTube channel, please, you guys. So go on the Aesthetic Immersion, click subscribe on YouTube, and you'll get to watch all of our stuff coming up.
All right, we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thanks for watching.